That sounds good. All right. Recording started. So we're ready to go. Ready to go. So today we will be talking about how to make a good trading journal. And for some of you, this is not the first time that you're hearing this, but I think it's still good to pay attention because you always pick up something new, something where you can improve on your journaling, okay? And then Tyler will cover journals as usual, and Tony will talk about RBIs and GBIs, okay? So let's get going. First of all, how are you all doing with your biggest loss in 20 trades? Collecting those 20 trades. Are you doing good? How many trades did you collect so far? Okay. 11, 20, 11. Okay, so lots of responses here. I hope it helps. I hope it helps you to get some idea about where your biggest issues are. Of course, you cannot always avoid losses. Sometimes you just get stopped out horribly, and it's totally unfair. But that's the way it works, right? You just have to make it back. But what we're after is those trades where you get stopped out with a big loss, where you actually made a mistake, and this is the only way to find them, right? And to help you guys to overcome those demons, okay? Those problems that you have. So keep sending them in. All right. Okay, so let's start with oh, I even had a sheet about it. Look at that. Look at that. You got smoked this morning, Edward. Okay, but you did make it back. Very good. Very good. Okay, what did you trade this morning, Edward? Which stock smoked you out? Oh, you have to look it up. You don't even remember? It cannot be that impressive then. The big one, which was the big one that killed you? QCOM. All right. That's not on my list, so I don't know what happened there, but I don't track QCOM. So, but anyway, you made it all back, and that's awesome news. Very good. Very good. All right. So let's talk about trading journals here. Okay. So before we start here, let me talk a little bit about the difference here between knowledge and experience. Those are two very different concepts. And excuse me, trading is often compared to playing golf or perhaps playing tennis, something like that. Okay, you need some knowledge, of course, but it's really about experience, right? And that is the difference. So knowledge is something that can be transferred from one person to another person. For example, you take a course, you read a book, right? You're accumulating knowledge, but there's not much you can do with it unless you actually build experience. Experience cannot be transferred, and it's something that must ultimately be accumulated by you yourself. You know, that's the very big difference here. Just imagine playing golf. Yeah, of course, you can read 100 books on golf and how to do it, how to hit that ball, etc., etc. But when you try the first time, you likely miss the ball even. You won't even be able to hit it, right? Let alone play a good game there. So that's only something that you can really acquire by just doing it tens of thousands of times, right? Just keep trying, and that's the way to go. So, so the same thing holds for trading. Trading is really about experience. Knowledge is necessary and helpful, but ultimately that's not going to bring you very far. So knowing about the checklist that was presented to you in the last two sessions by Tyler, it's great knowledge, and it should really help you to build your experience. That's the whole purpose of it, right? It's not knowing the checklist is not going to make you a successful trader. That's not the way it works. applying the checklist for a long time, that is what is going to help you to become a successful trader. So you should really do that and allow yourself that time. Okay, that's how you're going to get to that experience. How much time is that? Well, there's a famous book by a guy called Malcolm Gladwell, and it was published in 2006. It's called Outliers: The Story of Success. And that book, basically the central idea in that book is that in order to become really good at anything, what you need is like 10,000 hours of experience, okay, in that subject. So if we apply that to trading, that means that we need to collect like 10,000 hours of trading experience. That is what we really need. So, but I need to clarify that 10,000 hours in trades, right? So not reading books or following courses or things like that, okay? Or listening to me tell you how to do it or whatever. That doesn't really bring you any further. It's helpful because it will transfer some knowledge to you, maybe, that you can use to then go and build your own experience. But that is where the thing is, okay? So 10,000 hours trading in trades, okay? I just remember suddenly, I think, was it last month or the month before, there was a session with Oliver, and there was a new trader there that I had never heard about. And she said she had never taken a trade yet. And she was apparently with IFT already for a couple of months and studying how to do it, but she hadn't taken a single trade yet. So that is not the way to do this, right? You have to take the trades. If you have to make a choice, then go for the experience. Forget about the knowledge. That's where the important thing is. Okay. So let's make a calculation here. We need 10,000 hours. All right. Now let's assume that you are spending 4 hours every day in trades. As you know, the U.S. stock market is open 6.5 hours a day. Being 4 hours in trades is quite a lot of time, actually. And let's say that you're trading 250 days per year. There are weekends, right? You go, maybe you're on vacation. You have other things to do, whatever. So let's say that you just keep it easy. That means that you can collect like 1,000 hours a year, okay? 1,000 hours a year. And if you need 10,000 hours, what that really means is that you're going to be collecting experience for the next 10 years, right? The next 10 years. That, of course, is not the message that you wanted to hear today. So we need to look for ways to speed this up, because nobody likes to start a project and say, well, I'm first going to, you know what, I'm first going to collect some experience for the next 10 years and come back in 10 years and we'll see how it goes, okay? That's not what everybody wants to hear, of course. So let's see what we can do. In order to see how we can speed up building experience, we have to see how we actually collect experience, right? And first of all, and I already said it, is by being in trades, right? This is number one. However, when you're journaling your trades, you're actually also building experience. You may be journaling a trade that you just took this morning, and the time spent journaling is something that also gives you experience, because now you are looking at it totally different, right? Another way is by studying not your own trades, but actually studying journals from other traders. That is another way to collect experience. Those hours also count. And there is another way, even looking at charts and analyzing charts of trades that you did not take. So, for example, you take a trade, you take a chart from this morning, and you look at that chart and you say, well, where would I have entered? Where should I have entered? Where should I have added? Where was my initial stop? When should I move the stop? Where did I take profits? So you go through this whole, basically you're applying the whole checklist to the chart, right? And you're going through it step by step. That is another great way of accumulating experience. I really recommend that. It is often overlooked, but especially if you have like a rainy Saturday, a very good thing to do is to like print out an entire day of Apple, for example. Just make sure that all the 2-minute bars fit exactly on one screen and print it out. And then take a pen and just mark it up. Just mark up where is the support, where is the resistance, where is the power, where are tops, how could I have shorted that top? Should I have even tried to short that top? Does it make sense? And if so, where was the entry? Okay, things like that. And if you do that over many, many charts and you do it often, you will see that you are really improving as a trader because you start to look at things very different. Okay, it's actually the way that Oliver has been doing a lot in his first years. He did that a lot. So anyway, conclusion here, journaling is an important tool that can actually accelerate your accumulation of experience. Okay, journaling is very essential. What kinds of journaling do exist? Well, first of all, trade reviews, marking up charts, analyzing your actions. That's what we're going to focus on today. Okay. Another thing that is a part of journaling is like error tracking. Error tracking meaning collecting statistics there. What are your biggest demons? Where are your biggest mistakes? What is it you should be working on? For example, maybe you have a problem staying in a trade. You're always getting out too soon. That is a demon, right? You need to kill that demon or you're never going to be profitable. Because if you don't maximize your profits, your losses will be maximized for sure. So if you don't maximize your profits, you don't make enough money to make back the losses, let alone to make a profit on top of it. Okay? These things you need to really be aware of. And one other one thing that is actually your task, your homework with this 20 trade, collecting 20 trades and finding the biggest loss trade there and the cause of it has to do with that. Find those 2 or 3 demons that really cost you dearly. Okay, and one that almost every trader starts with, it comes out, is just not assessing the risk correctly, setting up trades with way too much risk and just being stopped out with an enormous loss that you didn't even see coming. All right, so things like that. One thing that I hope all of you do, and if you don't, then go to the shop this afternoon and fix this problem. Keep a notebook with personal notes, at least one notebook. Okay, one notebook with personal notes where you can just take notes. It could be anything that you write down there. It could be maybe Oliver said something and a light bulb went off in your head. Write it down. But maybe you just wanted to write something down about certain feelings or emotions that you experience while you're in a trade. That's fine. Just write it down. It's always good to write things down because it is a different way of becoming aware of what is really going on there, right? But of course, all of this is hard work. Most traders, they love pushing the buy and the sell buttons, but they really don't want to do the work that it requires to become a good trader. They don't want to go for that necessary feedback, the feedback that comes from your losing trades, especially also from your winning trades, but especially from your losing trades. The feedback, all the information that is in those trades, you have to really sit down and analyze that so that you can learn something from it. That's the only way to speed things up. But most traders, unfortunately, don't want to do this work, and that's why they will never progress and they will never become successful. Okay, there's a reason why what Oliver always says, 92% of the traders will never make it. I actually think that number is still quite optimistic. I think it's higher than 92 that doesn't make it. Okay, that's the bad news. But the good news is the fact that you're here is already decreasing the likelihood that you'll be part of those 92%, because apparently you are trying to put some effort in here and do some work. Okay, because as Thomas Edison said, opportunity is missed by most people. Why? Well, because it comes in overalls and it looks like work. They just don't want to do it. Okay? Never forget this. Take a screenshot of this one if it helps you and hang it on the wall, okay? So you see it every day. All right. So working on things is very important. It has to do with discovery. You see, people tend to remember only 10% of what they hear. I'm telling you a story, and 90% you already have forgotten tomorrow, right? However, if you read it, it's already more intense. If you write things down, there is 50% chance that you actually remember what you wrote down. Okay? Come back in a week, you still know, oh, I wrote something down on that a week ago, right? But if you discover something, so if you're analyzing your journals and you find a mistake there, you will remember 100% of that. You will not forget that you did that. Okay? That is a great way to progress. Much better than having somebody else telling you what you did wrong. You see the difference here? This works everywhere in life, actually, but especially works very well in trading. So to digress a little bit, but you actually have to maybe you actually need to plan time for this every day. So trading starts at 9:30 a.m. New York time, right? Okay. So maybe you're trading until 11 and you take a break and maybe you start to make your journals then. Maybe you have to tell yourself from 12 till 2, I'm making my journals. Okay. You just budget for that time. So you make sure you actually do it. Do you need to journal every trade? No, of course not. But if you can journal two trades every day really well, forget about the rest. So pick a good trade and pick a bad trade, okay? So you start journaling a bad trade to find out what you did wrong. You start journaling a good trade to find out what you could have done better, okay? And this way, tomorrow you will be a different trader when the stock market opens. So today we're focusing on trade reviews. And this is just a chart to show you what that could look like, right? You just have a trade and you look at that trade and you mark it up. You mark it up and you just make sure that all your entries and exits are there, all your moments when you took action, when something happened, like you moved the stop, all this information has to be there so that the trade is 100%. You can reconstruct the trade 100%. All right? So this is what we're going to talk about today, how to do that. And we're going to do that together. So reviewing your trades, as I said, is a way to speed up your development process. It's a way to speed up those 10,000 hours. And why does that work? A good way to look at that is the following. Inside of you, there are really two traders, okay? There is the trader in the trade. The trader in the trade is experiencing all the emotions, all the thoughts, all these things that make us humans, right? You're experiencing all of that, and it influences your actions. That should maybe not be the case. Well, sometimes it has to. It depends. But anyway, that is a totally different kind of experience as the trader after the trade. Once you finish the trade and you look at it, how often doesn't it happen that you look at a trade and you, in hindsight, and you say, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I see that this trade was going totally against me? Why was I hoping that this trade would still work? Where actually already I had like 3-4 strikes against me in that trade. I was doomed, right? That kind of thing is hard for many traders to see while in the trade. It actually has a name. It's called confirmation bias. Okay, you are inclined to see whatever confirms that you took the right decision, because human beings find it very hard to admit mistakes. Okay, so we're always looking for reasons to justify what we did, and that can be so intense that you actually are blind. Oh, the microphone is low. No, I cannot do that, but I can get a little closer, I think. Let me see, or is it low? Hello? Yes, I had my microphone off. Thanks to Dennis. Dennis, you're fired. Okay? You're out. Yeah, I clicked the mute button. Yeah. Somebody said it was out. It was great, and I just kept talking here. Okay. That was funny. Okay. So, what was the last thing you heard me talk about? I think I was somewhere talking about traders in the trade, right? And traders after the trade. Now, let me then summarize that quickly. So I said, okay, let me just redo this because it's important. So the trader in the trade, so you're experiencing all these emotions and thoughts or whatever, and they will tend to influence your trading decisions, right? And now that is usually not a good idea, but it's just the way it works. It's part of you growing up as a trader. After the trade, it's very different. Very different, because now you will often see these things and that you did not see while you were in the trade. And you may even be asking yourself, how is it possible that I didn't see this information while I was in the trade? What happened to me? Okay, and that has a lot to do with trading psychology. And I was talking about, for example, something that's called confirmation bias. This thing where human beings have trouble to admit that we have trouble to admit usually that we made a mistake. So we're looking for information that will confirm that we did the right thing. Okay? And that will actually go this far where you will not be able to see anything anymore that is against you. So maybe after the trade you find 3 or 4 signals that this trade was doomed right from the start. It went against you. You just didn't see it. Okay, so am I clipping now? Or I'm too loud? Okay, all right. That's, wow. Look what you did, Dennis. Let me see. Okay, am I audible? Is this okay? Can I have a sound check, please? So we can move on. Yeah, Dennis is on mute, and I think you also cover your ears there, Dennis, just to be sure, right? Oh, beautiful. Okay, I like it. Okay, so the other thing is, please share with others. Okay, share with others. So post your trades in the Facebook group, if you can, because and also comment on others. Don't just post your trade and wait for somebody to comment. Also go to trades by others and comment them on their trades. And don't just say something like, awesome, oh, great, beautiful. Yeah, well, we all know that, right? But try to say something constructive. Really study the trade and see if you can provide any feedback, because that is really what the important thing is, okay? And the last thing that I wanted to mention here, why is reviewing good and important, is because it can help you to turn negative emotions that you have after the trade into something positive. If you analyze your mistakes, because this here is often something that's often overlooked. So you're in this trade, right? And you feel like you were just run over by a truck, okay? Because this trade went totally against you. You were stopped out with a huge loss. Maybe you were even maxed out for the day, whatever. And by sitting down and looking at those trades and analyzing what happened there and looking at your mistakes, you will be able to cope with it much better. After doing this, you will feel a lot better about what just happened to you, and you will also feel that maybe tomorrow you will really be a better trader and you can do a better job. You just learn something, okay? That's another thing that is often overlooked. Carlos is asking, is there a Facebook group just for this mentoring? No, there is not, Carlos. There's only 2 Facebook groups that I'm aware of, the Equity group for the English people and the Comunidad group for the Spanish people, okay? And there's no special mentoring group. Okay. What software do we use, if any? Because you don't need to use any software. You can actually just print out the chart and use paper and pencil. as several traders in this group have been doing as well over the last months. But if you want to use software, then this is the tool that everybody seems to be using. Okay, it's called Snagit. I think it's about $60 one-time lifetime fee, and it seems to be very much worth it. So I'd recommend it. Take a look at this. Okay. Then you can also use things like other Windows tools, of course, like Paint, or maybe you want to use OpenOffice or whatever. There's all kinds of tools, but Snagit is really meant to draw, to mark up drawings, etc. So this seems to be a very good choice. If you're on a Mac, go for Preview. It's already in your Mac. You don't have to pay anything. You already paid for it. This is what I use. I'm on a Mac. I'm a Mac lover, and I use Preview to mark up my charts. If you see my charts, then they have been made by Preview. Okay. By the way, I will post one of my trades later today if I find the time to mark it up, because it was a really nice one, and I think you can learn something from it. So you can look out for that. Okay. So let's get started here. So now you did this trade, okay, and you need to take a snapshot of your screen. We're going to look at how to take that snapshot. What should be in there? Well, first of all, the name of the stock and the time frame. That's important information, right? And the other thing that has to be in there is the prices and also the dates, the hours, whatever. So we know where we are. What time of day is it? And also how much is this move? How much is this? You know, you need to know these things, right? So make sure you always include all of this information. I still sometimes see charts on Facebook published, whatever, and either the stock name is missing or the prices are missing, and there's no clue to what happened here, because each stock is different. Without this kind of information, you cannot really have a good opinion about the stock. Okay. So let's take a look. So now that we know what to include, we have to look at what bars to include. Okay. And there's an example here. This chart. So here, this trader is entering here, right? This is the open of the day here. See the open. This is the first part of the day, is the big green bar here. It's taken out, and the trader is entering here. Okay. So the question here is this, what is wrong with this chart, the data in this chart? Maybe some of the new traders in this group want to think about that and give an answer. What is wrong with the data in this chart? There's a problem here. Something missing. What is the problem here? Yeah, that's right. Because look, we have only like maybe 20 minutes of data here from yesterday, right? 20 minutes. So how can anybody know where the Fab 4 is here? How can you know if this is a good trade or a bad trade? Maybe we're even trading in the trap zone here, right? There's no way to know, because we have only, what is it, 10 bars here to the left. So I'll show you the same chart now, but now with more data from the left. There you go. So here was the entry. Look, this was that bar. Here is your entry, okay? So is this still a good entry? No, it's not, because look, there's big support here. The Fab 4 is wide here, and we're approaching the lower end of it. So this is not the kind of trade that you probably want to do. But in the previous chart, you cannot see that. So make sure that you include enough data to the left, okay? Similar problem here on this chart. Great trade. This is one of my trades actually from a couple of years ago. And look what happened. I shorted here. I shorted here, and there we go. And I take profits here, and I take profits here. And I'm happy, right? I'm going to the beach because I'm done for the day. What is the problem here? New traders. What is the problem with this journal? What is missing in this journal? Data-wise, what would you like to add to this journal? can we even say that this was a good trade? No, we cannot, because Andrew is right. We're missing data to the right. I'm about to show you the same chart, but now with more data to the right, okay? Do you recognize it? There it is, yeah. See? So that great looking trade in that journal where I got out here, look what happened. I missed all of this, right? How to make up for your misses, right? How to window dress your trade so that everybody thinks you're a great trader, and in fact you just sucked here because you just left everything on the table, right? So make sure that you include enough data to the left. Let's just take a quick look at this one here. Look, this is totally obvious. Here is the fabulous 4, right? See it? Okay, and here. In this journal, it is important to at least show this trade like until here or so. This part I could leave out. It doesn't really matter. But this is important because this tells me that I got out way too early. I left all of this on the table, and here somewhere maybe it was time to be out of the trade, somewhere in this area, okay? And that is what you need to include in your journal, or your journal has very little value, really. Understood? So, in summary, just said it already, so make enough data to the left and include enough data to the right. However, do not include too much data to the left or too much data to the right. Don't do that, because all you do is you jam everything together to a point where the bars get so small that you can no longer see the difference between red and green. You cannot mark it up because any arrow that you try to point is already covering 5-6 bars, you know. You need space, you need room. So you have to really think about that, okay? Okay, now time to bring up the checklist again, because the good news is that what we're going to do now is we're going to journal exactly according to the checklist. So you see everything is coming together here. You're applying the checklist. And this is exactly what you're going to do in your trading journal. You're going to mark your journal up exactly as if you were applying the checklist. All right? So, and we're going to work out an example here, an example of a trade. And we're not interested here in whether that trade was done correctly or not. That's not the issue here, okay? This is just about marking up the charts. So this is a trade that I took a couple of years ago, and we're just going to look how we can apply the checklist and mark up the chart here. Yep, that is the issue here. So the first thing in the checklist is event, right? The step number 1 from the 7 steps in the checklist, the very first one is, what event do we have here? Okay, well, start with that. I'm seeing a bottoming tail bar here, okay? Bottoming tail bar. Nobia is a bit slow today. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. All right. So I'm seeing a bottoming tail bar here. So you have to identify that, right? Because when you make a journal, you should always imagine that you're actually presenting your trade to somebody else. You're explaining to somebody else what it is that you did. Okay? If you keep that in mind, your journal will be much better. If you're only thinking you're doing it for yourself, you will probably be more sloppy about it. Now here, so the first thing you need to tell the audience is that, look, I saw a bottoming tail bar. So that's what you do. You mark it up. All right? Step number 2 in the checklist, location. Remember, always event at location. This is step number 1 and step number 2 in your checklist. I see an event and I have a location. What location is this? Well, today we would probably give it a different name because Oliver introduced another system, right, with pluses, whatever. So let's say that this is location plus, maybe it's even plus plus. All right. In those days, that system did not exist yet, and I just wrote here bottoming tail bar above Fab 4. Okay. As a matter of fact, another thing, to do, which I did not do here, is you mark your fabulous 4. It's a good thing to do that. Always start by marking the Fab 4 in your journal. And you may even want to point out that it's narrow, for example, okay? Because in this case, this is a pretty narrow Fab 4. And that means that there is a lot of energy here in this contraction that could actually lead to an explosion, which is exactly what happened in this trade. Okay, so you want to write that down, that you saw that. Okay. So what is step number 3 in the checklist? Step number 1 is event. What event did I see? Step number 2 is what location did I identify? Step number 3 is I'm entering how? By anticipation or by confirmation. Okay. So what I did here is I entered here by confirmation. All right. Not the best thing really today. I would never do that. I would probably enter by anticipation somewhere at this level, but that doesn't matter. This is a journal. We're talking about how to make a journal here. Okay. So entry confirmation, and then the next one is, first mark here. I bought 2 lots here, right? Because here is my confirmation entry, 2 lots. And then the next one that we have to mark here is what is my initial stop. Yeah, I still see journals coming in sometimes here in this group where people do not mark their stop. That is a mortal sin. Okay, that's the most important thing about the trade, is where is the stop. You have to mark your stop. If actually, in a way, you can do that before you should do that before you mark anything else, because that is the way to know how much you're risking on this trade. If it's not clear where your stop is, then, well, basically, you're just setting yourself up for failure, right? Initial stop. All right. So in this case, I opted for a max loss per trade stop. All right. Max loss per trade. There's nothing wrong with an event stop here, okay? Because we're pretty far from the MA200, but for whatever reason, I decided to use a max loss per trade stop here. It doesn't matter. Remember, we're marking up a journal here, and that is what this is about. So initial stop is here, okay? So the first 4 items from the checklist are in now. They're in the journal. Event, location, entry method, initial stop, right? Those are in. So we're on our way here. Let's see what we have. Now I'm doing an add here. See, I'm adding 1 lot here. So I mark that up, adding 1 lot. The problem is, why am I doing that? You see, for the trader, this may be totally clear, but remember, you are trying to explain this to somebody else. You may want to publish this journal in a Facebook group. So they want to know what was going on in your head. Why did you add there? So it's better to actually write down why you did it. So topping tail bar takeout. There's a little topping tail bar here, right? It's being taken out. Adding here on a sideways pullback. Okay? So just add that kind of information. Just like you say, I identify the bottoming tail bar. You say I identify the topping tail bar here, and it was taken out at the top. Okay? So, okay, so now that we're making this journal, the question comes to mind at some point, how many lots do we actually have? Because now, well, you can still figure it out easily by saying, oh, wait, I started with 2 here and I added 1, so I have 3 lots, of course. However, if you have a couple of adds and maybe some profit takes, then this becomes a little more problematic. So it is a good thing to change the way we write things down here so that you can always see that. So here, let me explain to you guys once and for all how that works. So for example, this means this is your action, right? So I'm buying 2 lots. Am I back? Am I audible? Yes. Okay. Now the screen sharing I have to restart. I don't know what happened. Some dip. Something happens. Let's try this. Could not connect. Okay. Dennis says it wasn't me. All right. So now who can we blame? Trying to get screen sharing started again. No, it doesn't want to do that. Yeah, let's blame Tony, right? I think I need to restart my Omnovia here because it doesn't want to connect me for some reason. I'll be back in a minute. All right, so sound is back, I hope. Okay, let me see if we can get some screen sharing up here. All right, however, what happened here? What the hell is going on? Wait a minute. What is going on here? Why is this going black here on me? I'll just start it all over again. This one here. Okay. Okay, I think we're back, right? Everything good? You see the chart and you hear me talk, right? Excellent. Okay, so, and I didn't even pay a ransom, so we're all good here. Okay. So the point was, so you buy 2 lots, so you're 2 lots long, right? You buy another lot, so now you're 3 lots long. You sell 2 lots, so now you are still 1 lot long. Maybe you sell 3 lots now. So you're 1 lot long and you sell 3. That means you end up with a short position of 2 lots here, right? So this is all there is here. So this is a great way, I think, very simple way to make sure that it's always clear what you are, what your position is, and where you are in the trade. Okay. All right. So another ad here. Bottoming tail bar. See it? There's your bottoming tail bar. So I'm writing bottoming tail bar, adding 1 lot. Now we're 4 lots long. Okay. Stop adjustment here. See the stop? There it is, the black line here. At some point, at some mysterious moment, I moved my stop here. When did I do that? We'll talk about that in a minute. And then a profit take here. Up there is a profit take. Okay, sell 3 lots. Now, position was 4, so we sell 3 lots, and that means that we have still 1 lot left in the trade. Another stop adjustment. So at some moment, I decided to move the stop here. And that leads to stop out. So 1 lot left in the trade, position 1 lot, right? Sell 1 lot here on the stop out, 0 lots left in the trade. We're done. Okay? So that is the basic trade here that we're covering. Now, let's see if we can make this a little better. The first issue is that, especially if you get a journal with many arrows in it, it soon becomes hard to read. Okay, it quickly becomes hard to read because all these arrows are everywhere, and you don't really know what the order of events is. So how can we fix that? Well, by numbering all these events. The identification, you don't need to number that. You could put a 0 there if you wanted. You can even start with 1 if you really wanted to. It's really up to you. In general, guys, I'm not telling you how to do it, right? I'm just presenting you how I do it. And you pick from here what you think you can use. Now, you might want to just take over the entire way I do it, because I've been doing it like this for many years, and everybody seems to think that it's a great way to journal. So so think about it. Just take the whole thing. But if you feel that something should be done differently, great. As long as you put all the information in and present it in a way that is easy to read. That is what the whole thing is really about. Okay. So the steps here. So entry here 1. Okay. And now there's something I want to point out here. Look. See this? So this has the same number 1, and the reason why I do that is that at the very same moment that we go long here, we place our mental stop here. So this number 1 is a moment in time. It coincides. These two things coincide. They happen at the very same moment. Okay? So the first step is placing the stop and entering with 2 lots long. That is one, actually that's one undivisible action. You see? Step number 2, add here. Step number 3, bottoming tail bar. Okay? At some point in this way up, and we'll talk about that, I move the stop here. This is step number 4, stop adjustment. Stop adjustment to pivot here. Okay? At some secret moment, we'll talk about that. And then here's my profit take. Sell 3 lots here on the new high. Okay? Look. There's another number 5 here, and that tells you that at the same moment that I took profits here, at this moment, at this very moment, that is when I moved my stop up here to this level. Okay? And then 6 is the stop out. So there's two actions in this chart, 5 and 1, where 2 things happen simultaneously. A profit take and a stop adjustment, or an entry and a stop adjustment. Okay, so if you're moving your stop and there is no action related to that, what can you do? Well, very simple. You just insert an extra arrow here, like I did here with number 4. Is that showing up already? Yeah, there we go. So here I did that with number 4. Look. So that arrow, at this point, there was no profit take, there was no selling, no buying, nothing. The only thing that happened here is that I decided to move my stop up, right? And I want the audience to know when I did that. It's important to know, did I do it too early? What was the moment when it happened? Well, it happened here. So you just put a little arrow there, you mark it number 4, and then you also apply that number 4 to the stop itself. And now anybody can see easily, now it's easy to see that at this moment the stop went to here. Okay? Is that clear? Or did I lull you all to sleep? I want to stress this point because I still see many traders not using this technique here to tell us when they actually move their stop. It's very important. Okay, good. So so now we have a lot of information here, all kinds of arrows all over the place, and as I said, you want to present this to another trader. You want to make it attractive for them, right? You want to make it attractive for another trader to sit down and look at your trade and go over it step by step, what you did there. That is the whole idea. Now, one way to do that is by using colors. All right. So it looks a little bit better because color information is easier to read than everything black and white. So I always use green for buys. I use red for sells, right? Black for stops, and gray for other arrows. Yeah, arrows. Yeah, like here. Like 4 is a gray arrow. You can also make it a little black arrow, I guess, whatever you like. It doesn't really matter, but as long as there is some logic and consistency to how you do this, it will be much easier for the audience to actually read and understand your trade. Okay. And I always use brown for my identification, etc. Yeah, this just why brown? I have no idea. That's just how I do it. Okay, you can do anything you want, of course, but as long as there's some consistency here, and keep in mind that you're trying to make another trader look at your trade. Okay. All right, another small thing. Now that we have this all worked out, it's always nice to know where the beginning is. You see all these arrows here. Where does this begin? Well, one way to do that is just blow up the entry point, make it an anchor. So anybody who sees this trade, immediately his attention is attracted to the point where you started the trade. There's no looking for that, and especially if you have 2 trades in one chart. For example, a stop and a reverse. It is great to have, suppose that this would be a stop and reverse, for example, here, right? It would be good, then it would be great to have this arrow also blown up really big, so you can see that entry here, second trade, big reversal here, right? It just makes everything easier. Okay. All right, so now we're done. Now that we have a journal, now it's time to start looking for errors, mistakes that we made. But we need to define what actually is an error. What is a mistake? What errors really are deviations from the plan. You start out the morning telling yourself, today I'm going to trade exactly according to the checklist, right? I think most of you do that. I hope you do. Okay. And then you get in the trade and something happens. You see your profit and loss go up and down. And then before you know it, you're out of the trade with a loss or with a small profit or whatever. And you think, what the hell happened? Okay. And that is the moment when errors show up. This is the moment where you have to look for where did you actually deviate from the plan. Because this is something that you have to make yourself aware of so that next time you may not do so and you may actually stick to the plan. Because this is one of the biggest challenges for traders, to stick to the plan. That is very, very, very difficult, apparently. So, deviation from the plan. Things like failing to add. The checklist tells you to add. There's 2 mandatory adds in the checklist, right? Which 2 are they again? Anybody help us out here? There are 2 mandatory adds in the checklist. Which ones are they? When are you supposed to add? Everybody should be able to write this down immediately. I see only 4 or 5 people typing, so I hope that the rest is either not listening, but I hope they're not looking it up in the checklist, because all right, the first RBI and the first pullback. Those are 2 mandatory adds, right? So if you did not add there, then we're talking about an error here, failure. You failed to comply to your own plan. You messed up, right? You need to know this so you become aware of it. Same thing, you took profits after 1 push, or maybe after 2 pushes, but in a situation where you really should have waited for 3 pushes, that is an error, right? And the same thing, jamming up your stop before you were allowed to do so. That is a severe violation of your trading plan. There's a rule in it for a good reason why you should not do that. So you got to mark that up. Besides errors, there is also something that is called improvements. Improvements is a different category, okay? We're not talking about improvements here. I should have done this, or I better. No, that's not the point. These are things where the checklist really leaves you free. If you recall it well, the checklist actually, it does not tell you when to take profits. It does not tell you when to take profits. It does tell you when to stop out on the trade, right? But it does not tell you when to take profits. What does it tell you about profits? It's a different word that we use there. What does the checklist tell you to do with profit taking? What is the keyword there? I mean, if your stop gets hit, you have to get out. That is an obligation. You must do that. There's no choice. But if you, exactly, Carlos, profit taking is a right that you earn. When the stock has moved to a certain location, for example, 3 pushes, or it made a new high, now you have earned the right to take a profit, but it's not an obligation. It's not mandatory, okay? It's not. So that's different. So if you look at your journal and then you tell yourself, look, I should have actually taken profits later. I had the right to do it, but I did it, but I shouldn't have done that, because look at this chart. There was obvious that I should have waited, right? Now that is an improvement. That is not a mistake. I just want to make it clear what the difference is between an error and an improvement, okay? All right, so anyway, let's see how we can mark up errors, okay? So let's take a quick look at this trade here. This is a trade in JD, also a couple of years ago. And this trade, I saw a bear elephant bar here and I entered by confirmation, right? I like to mark up my errors in dark blue because somehow they just jump out of the chart. And that is what I really want to see first when I look back at my journal a couple of months later. What was my mistake? My mistake was here. I failed to anticipate. I did not see that this is at least, this is this is a bear elephant plus, okay? This is 2/3 of the bar here, and this by itself is an elephant. So that means that this is a bear elephant bar plus. That means I should have entered here in the lower part of it, not confirmation below. I'm too late. That is a mistake. The checklist tells me to enter by confirmation on this, by anticipation on this bar, and I didn't do it. Okay, so that is a great thing to mark up here. I failed to anticipate. Okay, now this thing comes all the way down, and then I added here immediately after this big decline here, and technically that's not wrong. However, I did consider it an error, so I put it in blue here as well. Okay. Just some examples of how you can use another color to mark up your mistakes, your errors. Now, look at this trade. Does anybody remember this trade? Does it look familiar? You've seen this before. You saw it earlier today in the presentation. This is the trade with the smiley on it, right? This is the trade where I said, oh, look, I made a great trade here. I entered here, and then I took profits, and I took some more profits, and I was done for the day, and I went to the beach, right? And I missed all of this here. Remember that trade? When I told you to include this part of the data in your journal. This is this trade. Now let's take a quick look at that trade. So here, actually there's no identification here, it's missing. Okay, so this should be perhaps something like bear 180, okay? And I shorted 2 lots here on confirmation. Okay. So at that point, I had a risk plan, and I did not specify here in the chart, unfortunately, but I had a risk plan, and I should have shorted 3 lots here according to my risk plan. I did not do so. I actually shorted only 2. That is a mistake. It's an error. So mark it in blue. Okay. And then here, look at this profit take. I have 1, 2 pushes here, but look, this is the most tight Fab 4 that you can get. This is incredibly tight, and it just explodes out of that Fab 4. This thing is going down, right? This thing is going down. So you have to wait for at least 3 pushes here. 2 pushes is a big mistake. There is no justification for a 2 boost profit take here. Okay, so mark it up. So you learn from it for tomorrow. So you do better tomorrow. And then here, getting out of the trade in a bar by bar, because I went bar by bar here. That is, what I did wrong here, I should have seen this thing power trending here. This is clearly a power trending move here, and also there was not even a pullback here, right? So going bar by bar is absolutely wrong here, and you got to mark that as well. Okay, so trying to point out to you guys, once you have your journal made, your actions are all in there, your stops, your buying, your selling. At that moment, you can mark up the 1, 2, or 3 mistakes that you find in your trading. Okay? All right. Carlos Garcia is saying exactly what happened to me today at eBay. All right. Yeah, I saw that. I saw eBay. Yeah, somebody traded that in the black team, and yeah, that was that's too bad, Carlos. It's too bad. But now, if you mark this up and you rub it in for yourself, right? You make sure that you suffer enough by just seeing that, then there will be 2 miracles happening. The one is that you will be feeling good about it tonight, because then you will know exactly where you went wrong. Okay, try to also find the moment when you make the wrong decision, and try to recall that in your mind as well. What was I thinking? What was I experiencing at that point? Why did that happen? Why did I make that mistake? If you point that out and then you mark up your chart like this, then tomorrow you will be a different trader. And if it happens again, you're less likely to make the same mistake. Now, usually, of course, traders need like 4 or 5 times before it finally lands, before you finally start to see the light. But then it's important to take those 4 or 5 steps, right? You were influenced by another trade that you lost at MET. Yeah, right. That can really happen. Yeah. That's also not a good thing. But unfortunately, we're only human beings, right? Not trading robots. Okay, we're almost through. I'm just showing you this this chart here. I'm showing you a chart here, just to show you the power of this method. If you mark up your journals like this, look at how many steps there are in this trade. There are 15 steps in this trade, right? Isn't there even, maybe there's even one missing. No, there's 15 steps in this trade. And it's totally clear what happened here. There's no mess, there's no questioning. And if you want to know at this point, how many lots are we actually in the trade? Well, you just see it. We're 1 lot in the trade, right? It's all there, all this information. I'm selling 1 lot here, and I'm left with 1 lot. There's no doubt about what's going on here, right? Anywhere, even though there are 15 different steps in this trade, and I think that is important to see that. And look at this, like 6 here, see 6 here. So this stop adjustment happened at that moment that we got exactly here. That's when I moved the stop up. Okay. And the same thing here, number 8, look, that is the moment. See that? It's very easy to reconstruct this, all the steps here. Here, number 13, profit take, stop adjustment at the same time. See? All right. That is the power of this method. So once again, just, you could do with this whatever you like. There's no obligation or anything, and this is not the only way to make a good journal, okay? That's all fine, but as long as you make sure that 2 things. Number 1, that all this information that is in this journal, that your method of journaling also has all this information in. That's number 1. And number 2, that you make it attractive for another trader to actually look at your journal. Because if you post this on Facebook and it doesn't look nice, nobody's going to study it, right? You may get some cheering going on there. Awesome, great, fantastic, you're the best. Okay, cool, that's nice for your ego, but it's not going to make you a better trader tomorrow, not at all. What you really want from posting it is feedback. You want people to look at it, to really actually study your trade, and maybe ask a question. Why did you do that? Why did you do step 9, for example? I don't understand. Or wouldn't it have been better to whatever? That kind of question is what you want, right? That's why you're publishing it, for interaction, not to be lauded and cheered. That's not the idea. Okay. All right. Last part here. Oh, look at that. Oh, Henrik is already finding mistakes here. Excellent, Henrik. I have been presenting this now for a year, I think, this thing, and nobody has ever found this. Henrik, you just graduated. Thank you so much. All right. So last point here is what to do with all these journals. And one thing that I recommend doing is to collect them in PowerPoint or so. Because if you do that, then you will have them all together. It is easy to browse, and you are basically documenting your own development process, right? And last but not least, it gives you a feeling of accomplishment, right? So what you see here is a snapshot of one of my PowerPoint books. I make a new one every year. So each one has like a couple of hundred journals in it. And it's just nice to look at, right? Isn't it? I mean, there's nothing to be embarrassed about here. So you can actually sit down on a rainy Saturday evening and maybe your partner wants to watch some lousy television series. And you just sit next there with your laptop and you just look at your journals, glass of wine, and you just go step by step. And you look how you were trading, for example, a year ago. Can you imagine how powerful that is if you see your journals from a year ago, not to mention 2 years ago, and you see how much you have actually progressed. But also one thing that you will see, something that struck me recently, is how you have lost some things. I mean, I went over a couple of journals of mine from a while ago, and it actually struck me that there were some techniques that I was applying that I had actually lost. I'm not doing that anymore. And that is not a good thing because those were really good tactics. But I had just like more zoomed into certain other tactics, I guess. I don't know. So it's good to go over those old journals because it's also inspiring. You may find things back that you forgot about, right? So that is what I would like to leave you with here. So this is just hopefully this inspires you, okay? And yeah, I would say good luck. Good luck. Carla Mellon is saying, do you regroup it by type of entry in it? No, I don't do that. That is a separate thing for me. You can do that, of course. You can also make different directories, for example, and move them by location if you wanted to do that. But there are so many ways you would like to look at it. Location is only one thing, right? Now you can also make directories and group them by event. So what are you going to do? You're going to copy your journal into 2 different directories because it is a bool elephant bar, so it goes in the elephant directory, but it also goes in the location directory single plus. This gets a little complicated, right? So personally, I don't like to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you just have to do what is good for you at this moment. Okay, it's very well possible that you start archiving things in a certain way, and then maybe in half a year you just change that because you're not happy with it anymore. You want to do it different. See? So this is what I like to do, just everything together. And if I want to find anything out, I just can go through these, through all these trades, and I can just fill in lists of 20 trades. For example, you can go through these trades and say, now I'm going to study all my elephant bars. Okay, trade 1, no. Trade 2, no. Trade 3, yes, that's an elephant bar. So I write it down in a 20 trade list, right? 4, 5, 6, 8. 8 is also an elephant bar trade, so I write that down as well. That is a way you can do this. Okay. All right. All right. So Tyler, are you ready to take over? I think it's your turn, buddy.
Yes, I am. Sound check. How you guys doing? Got a quick question for you, Jan. Where we left off last time, I don't know if we caught all of them last time. Didn't we kind of cut out early? And maybe you could let me know if I should be starting earlier or just start with the new ones I picked up.
I would recommend that you just start with the new ones that you picked up. I did not cover everything, but I think I did cover 1 trade for each person that sent in trades. So
okay.
So I think everybody got. And if you have time left, you can always take a few of the just walk yourself backwards. Okay.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, they probably won't because I want to make sure that we've got good time here for Tony. Let's see. You're just waiting for the screen share to take over. All right, there we are. Let's get on to some of your journals. And starting with Benjamin, here we go. Right. So we identified bull elephant plus, minus position, one lot anticipatory entry, and it looks like we added here on the green bar ignored with Benjamin's not here, but it looks like for the added lot, that separate lot got its own stop, right? So it got a stop that was a little closer, and the initial lot retained the high of the day. Do you guys understand what he did there? And this is something that Oliver has added that, if you go in one lot like that, sometimes you can make your add a separate entry with a separate stop. And that way you still maintain this as your initial stop on your first lot. And with the green bar ignored, you just do this here, and that preserves your max loss per trade. It's a hybrid way of doing it. So I think that's effective in some of the things we're seeing these days. I like this profit take right down here. I think that's excellent. Because what's the profit take rule after a green bar ignored? How many pushes? Right? Good. So if we cut this bar in half, you can see right from the entry, this was about 2 pushes. So it is okay for him to take profits there. And then let's see. After a couple of GBIs here, Benjamin decided this was a power trend, that the 8 MA was going to hold everything. We got a little more distance here. And I think at this point, we had the breaking bar right here. Right? That's the bar that broke the 8 MA. And Benjamin exited right here, right? And I would say really got the most out of this little trend. So I think that's an excellent trade, right? I think this is done very well. I think it's not wrong to call this a power trend. It's not ideal, but it's not terribly wrong. The other thing you could do is you could just leave the stop up here. Just say as long as we stay under here, we wait for one pivot, and then when we get down around here, you can stop adjust here. It's not an ideal power trend in the sense that I think you would want it to be a little closer, to really track closer. But I do get that, like, see how there's a lot of kind of trading inside the prior bar and just staying on this side of the 8 MA. I think towards the end here, that's not bad. You see, we kind of got this trading sideways business going on, and then this tends to indicate the break of the 8. So it's not terrible, right? I think that's a reasonable way to trail your way out of this one, and it's made a nice move, right? It's moved up here from 77, 80 or so, and you're getting out around 76, 80. So it's more than a dollar move. Who could ask for anything more, right? That's not bad. AMD can go farther though, right? Well, whale complete is clearly down in here somewhere, right? But if we get into something that just power trends like this, right? Let me ask you this. Is a power trend something that you're using a whale complete? Are you gauging by whale complete when something power trends? What does a power trend mean? Yeah, a power trend means that you're not getting pivots, right? Now, it may give you a pivot when the power trend's over, but the checklist says break the 8MA, 2-bar break, you're done with the trade. That's what it says. It doesn't say sit through a pullback and then see if another power trend forms, although you are welcome to do that, but you got to look at that as a new trade, right? Like entering here, it's a new trade. And I have to say, when you get closer to 1030 and all this kind of stuff, and you've already traveled this much, the question is, how much do you want to risk? How much do you want to give back, right? So, and it might be worth it, you know? If it's a third of your gains, you might give it a shot and just throw in right here, stop above the high, and, you know, profit take on a new low and trail the rest out by whatever trailing method. In this case, it looks like it's power trending again. So you can always re-enter something if it's just continuing to go and the market's continuing to fall. So thanks for that one, Benjamin. I think that was a good. That was a really fun one to follow along with, right? Now, let's see. I'm Suraj. We've got. Let's see. Is this trader here today? Don't see. Okay, that's right. I believe Hamsaraj usually watches the recordings, right? Now we have an identification of bear elephant bar. We got an anticipatory entry when this tail kind of formed and the wipeout of everything before this went through the lows, and an event stop above the high. I don't mind this. I think that's a cool way to do it. At this point, you know, it tried to go up. Here's the wipeout, and you're most of the way back to the bottom, right? You're at about 70% back to the low. So kind of an anticipatory entry here with an event stop. I think that's really nice. 2 lots short, 3 pushes, right? So in a way, this bar here is actually 2 pushes, and that would make anything down below a 3 push, right? So I think that's nice. And then we have a solid bar stop adjust, and then we went bar by bar, and we got out right here. And you know, we're saying should have held on to the last lot. Might have got an add and a whale complete. True. You could say that. This thing really did just nosedive right off the open. It's Intel, so it doesn't travel as far as some of the other big dog stocks. But I really think it is a good idea to be able to sit through one pullback and add like this, and you know, just not get too nervous. As a matter of fact, what do you think would be a good, let's say you get down here and you take profits. I like the 3 push profit take. What's a reasonable stop adjust here? What do you think somebody could do here? This is like, yeah, I like that. I actually like the break-even stop adjust on this particular trade. Because if this bounces up 50%, you know, 50% is right about here, isn't it? And isn't break-even still way above that? So this is the one where I think you're okay with a break-even stop adjust. I just don't think it's likely, right? I don't think it's, what do you mean, what about the bear elephant? Like the initial stop was here, you took profits down here, it went a little further, so now we've got this massive distance, and 50% is right about here, and break even is here. I don't think it's going to get above, when you see a massive leg down like this, I don't think you're going to see 70% retracement. I don't even think you're going to get 30%, which is about where this ended, right? I think this was a 30% pullback where you know, the first pullback did trigger. You did get a new low, so I think there should have been an add right here, a profit take, and then I would say And this is an interesting thing about the when you get whale complete, Oliver would say, and this is especially for the boss sessions, you know, the people that want their trade to be done in the first hour of trading, don't lose the new low. So this should have continued, and when it didn't, you can close that trade right there. So I would say great profit take, pull back, add, profit take, stop adjust, and then when you get this green bar that's wiping out your new low, your whale complete, I would be out above that green bar. I would just say no more, right? And you can do this because this is far, right? And you go, all right, now this has just made a box. And even though this went lower later on, I don't hang around for those. You have, it's within your rights to close the trade at whale complete if this thing has made a pretty decent move. Now, it doesn't mean you can't re-enter here at the 20. Like, this is a nice re-entry if you want to give it one more shot, but what kind of a trade is this if you're entering from here? What kind of a trade is this? Is this a checklist trade or is it something else? What do you guys think? There are two kinds of trades, and some of you might not have heard that. There's checklist trades, and then there is a scalp. And a scalp, and so, like, here's the thing. Your checklist trades are set up to catch the first leg of the day. This is the first leg of the day, right? The second leg down, all that kind of thing, a lot of times that's more like what we call a scalp. Now, usually when we talk about a scalp, we're talking about something that's up 1,000,000 bars, and we're looking for it to drop back 30%. So you would short here, and you'd be all out at a 30% drop, or a 50% drop, or a 25% drop, something like that, depending on how high it's moved and how far it's it's expected to go, right? That's a scalp. It's a quick one-direction profit, right? Taking a short from here, you're looking for a quick one-direction profit, new low. Perhaps you can trail out to get another new low, but I think you're looking for a one-leg move here, right? Because it's already, it's already kind of made whale complete. You're trying this again, and there's nothing that says that this should break through after, right? This has already failed. And so, it gets tricky here, right? A lot of things. How many times have you guys seen something hit the bottom, fail to make a new low, it's attempted a new high, it fails to make a new high, and then you've got this, right? You've just got a box going sideways all morning, just kind of ping-ponging here. And in this case, it breaks, right? It gets lower, and then now this is a decent new low short opportunity. This one actually breaks the box and continues, and now you get a whale complete down here. But notice this whale complete, right? This is the new low bar. What happens to it, right? Let's say you shorted here, right? Don't lose this guy, right? You don't know how far it wants to bounce back up. You see how, like, later when we get closer to noon, these things lose their reliability, right? Lost new low. Boom. Who knows how high that's going to go? Lost new low, right? Who knows how high it's going to go? Well, this one actually reversed, right? You go, okay, this is the one that hit the floor and continued lower. Those ones have higher odds of making a new low. But then here's your new low, and it gets wiped out, right? So, that's what you got to pay attention to. Sometimes when you get just a strong, continuous leg down, you get ping pong at the bottom for a while, and it might make a new high and catch, or it might make a new low and catch, or it might go nowhere. But you have to presume ping pong until it gives you a clearing bar and a higher low or a lower high. You guys understand what I'm saying about that? Just want to make sure that's clear. There are times when it just, I just think this is a really powerful continuous move down. When your new low fails, that trade is over. It would be different if, it's more like 2, 3, and then a little pullback, and then some low. You see how that's a different thing that's more likely to, travel differently and have regular pivot stop adjustments. That's a different feeling, isn't it? This is just like everything went first. You get your first bounce. You always got to play that. And then when this doesn't go anywhere, you're out. It's done. Because you just don't know. Well, what you do know is that this is doing a market law 4 on you, and that means likelihood is a new high, right? And if the probability is a new high, you might say, you know what? I made enough here, and I might consider looking at it here if it all stays in the lower 50%. But you just don't know at that point. So I'm saying this because the first pullback is still playable, but depending on how much of your average true range you ate up in that first leg, like if this took up a full daily range or 80% of it or something like that, you're more likely to get that. And, if it pulled back here and then it made a new low and then it pulled back again and made a new low, those are the ones where pivot stops are really going to help you. This pivot stop, I feel, it's just a bit late because this, when you absolutely should be getting follow through and you don't, this thing is not going to happen. So, I don't know, Jan. Am I getting too far away from the checklist on this, or is whale? I'm not sure if we discussed that enough, but whale complete is an appropriate time to exit the trade completely. When you've got this kind of drop from the sky, right? I mean, it's fallen so hard that it's, it's okay to say sorry. I'm not sitting through that. And it's different than, some of the things that set up today were pretty nice. Let's see what we had here. Was it TMD or, you see how like this is just, so the play started around the 200, right? And it didn't just fall straight through. It had a pullback, right? It had a pullback and another pullback, right? Had a time, pullback, all that kind of stuff. And that's the multiple pivot setup right there, that kind of a thing. Maybe a lot of times QCOM will do that, right? Here we go. Here's a sell setup, right? It's near the 200. You get your sell, you get a pullback, right? At the new low, stop adjust, right? Stop adjust. You might get dinged out right here, and you might use the re-entry rule. Re-entry rule is this. Let's say we have a stop right here. 2-bar break, right? That's the second bar right there, right? So this is the 1-bar break. This one is the 2-bar break. When the bar that knocks you out is immediately reversed within the next bar or two, you can go back in and just take a small entry, right? So this bar would have stopped you out, and that exact same bar crashed on you, you can go back in immediately, and this is your new stop, right? And when the trend remains intact, right, you can get nice things like that. So that's a rule that, Oliver gave us early on that basically says you can do that. Your trend remains intact, and notice what's happening here on the 5-minute, right? That's part of why. It's like on the 2-minute, right? It looked like this scary thing, right? That stopped you out. Stop adjustment here might have come down here, and this would have stopped you out. But a clearer picture of what's actually going on might arise on the 5-minute. I'm only saying this because it's getting later in the day. It's 11:30 now, right? On the 5-minute, when you look at this, right? Initial stop, stop adjust on this new low. And this stuff is really just going sideways. It's not that scary. See how like it's kind of foolish to get out right here? So I'm just saying, if you're trailing something, you've had a nice run from the morning, and it's getting past 11, you might just, before getting too tight on your stop adjusts, catch a peek. Because is this one oversold? Is this one dramatically oversold for the day? It's a good time to zoom out, isn't it? And then you look at this and you go, there's nothing wrong with this trend at all, is there? Right? Give it space, right? While it's staying below the 20, leave it alone. Now we got a nice bar by bar down here. We can say that ends the trade. And here's your market law 4. Might even go long there, right? Paula's saying Uber was beautiful today. Let's see. I know I'm getting off track, but UBER. There we go. Boom. Look at that one, right? Here's a 1-bar break, right? It held on. This is more of a power trend, though, isn't it? Right? I know Jan did, so yeah, right? You did well with this one, Jan, didn't you? So I'm just, I'm comparing that to this one. You see how this one just dropped from the sky? Right? This is maybe I don't want to hold it so much, right? So that's the comparison I'm making. Okay, so thanks for that one. Claudio is going to show us how it's done here with Square again, right? 2 lots, event stop. He's calling this triple minus location. I'm going to say fair enough, because if you move from 208 to, if we call this 50%, 213, that's $5. So I would high five somebody over that, wouldn't you? So I'll take a $5 move with a, how much is this? If you entered right there, I mean, it's a big stop. So, you've got a $400 risk on this one on 2 lots. So for a potential gain of 1,000. So, if your MLPT is 1,000, I think that's totally fine, right? So here's the entry. Here's the add. Up here, an amazing profit take, pivot stop. Another amazing profit take up here, pivot stop. Another add right here. I think this is a wise place to take a profit as well. And big bar stop adjust and out. Well, that right there is a home run. Jeez. So how much did you make on this one? Let's see. If Claudio's there, I wonder how much Claudio made on this one. That one looks like, $1,500 or something. That's a beautiful trade. Right? Would you guys agree? That is just a fantastic, just milked everything out of this trend that was possible. So yeah, that was fantastic. By the way, did any of you guys email about Black Team? I'm just curious if Jim has replied to anybody. Okay, and did he get back to you yet? Okay, good, nice, good stuff. I'm glad he's doing that. All right, awesome. Oh, so Carlos, you can email Jim at ifundtraders.com. I would just put Black Team in the subject and just say, hey, I have some interest in being on the Black Team, and ask for details on that. And I just told people that on Monday because a trader was asking, and I reached out to Oliver, and he said that you guys who are in the coaching program are definitely people he would consider. He really, it is a, yeah, you may have to save some money. It's not inexpensive. I don't know what the going rate is right now, and it might be different for people in different parts of the world and all that. So don't go comparing, because I really don't know how they're setting this up. But I will say that being on the Black Team is where you really trade with Oliver every morning, and that's where you take this checklist and go to the next level of just like, how you figure out how he actually trades every morning, right? This is what Oliver does, and so that will take this to even the next level, and it's safe for the people that it's safe for the people that are really serious, right? That he doesn't take his time. It was invite only for a long time, because, and it still is, because he wants the people, that the last of the Mohicans, the people that survive, and if you can afford it, and it will be worth it. You don't need to have a live account, but he is going to push you towards there. And you should be aware that, I'm going to say this, they will be able to get you going live if you want to, but if your results aren't there yet, don't be in a rush. Don't push yourself into losing your own money when you haven't demonstrated results yet, right? I'm just going to say that, right? You can get live, right? We've been through it. I've taken the test. I went through the whole thing. Just don't be in a rush, right? Don't be in a rush. Make sure that your results are methodical and based on process, right? When you're a process trader, you're ready. So I just want to say that a little bit and save all the rest of the questions for Jim. I'm not the person to answer all those, right? So thank you, Claudio. That was an awesome trade. We got a trade here from Simon, right? So Andrew, it's all the same stuff for graduating, but for people that get on the Black Team, they can fast track you there, but I don't know that you want it that quickly. Just don't be in a rush to do that until you have demonstrated that you can get there. Yeah. They can get you there, and they can push you through the 57, but only do it when you've got the results, right? So let's take a look at this one. Question: do I consider the exits to be whale complete, or do I anticipate by letting it run beyond the new high and take profits with pushes? When I entered, I thought the entry was roughly a third and not 50%, so I was hoping it would go beyond the new high. Since this is not at the open, what mindset do I apply? Just trade? When do I go for whale complete? and out of the trade when not to. Okay, so Simon, here we are. This entry, is this the beginning of the trend, middle of the trend, end of a trend? Yeah. So if you get a new high, well, let me ask you this. How would a trend end? Right? So you've got a power trend up, you got a VBS at the 20, you got a second move off the 20. How would it end? Right. And that's what I would call this. Right? So I would say this not following through, would say out right here. Right? It just, because look, people were buying all through here, all through here. They sat through the pullback. They got a new high. It pulled back again, and then it got just a tiny little new high, which is a good place to take some. You always have to take some at a new high. Always, always, always. And then you cannot lose the new high, right? Especially late in the trend. Now, we don't know if this is the end of the trend or not. We don't know that. The 20 is still rising. But we know that it's not the beginning of the trend. We've had the beginning, and it's probably past the half, isn't it? And that's, when we're getting towards the end, it's going to market law 4 to finish this off. Now, it's either going to shoot up here or it's going to collapse, but I just see this as the one unusual bar on the whole thing, and I wonder if it's the exhaustion of the move. And we don't know. This buy is really good. And I don't think you go by pushes here, but you definitely look at what happens right here. And you say, well, there's a little weakness, but it's above break even. So, I do think once you get one good R into it, you start considering a break even stop. And then this should have followed through, right? This took out some red and needed to keep going, didn't it? And you just go, this should not be falling right here. And it's kind of like being greedy where you should be fearful, right? So like new highs, this is the place where you should be fearful, right? You should be greedy down here and greedy down here and fearful up here, right? Greedy here, fearful here. And I think the emotions were reversed. We were greedy here. Does that make sense? You're just, once you get into leg 2, this is leg 2 right here. And now you're entering leg 3, and you're in the afternoon, and notice what else is happening. It's like, boom, this one shot to new highs, and this one shot to the same high. And that one, it just, this had a certain amount of drama, and this had half as much drama before it reversed, and you go, not good, right? So that's what I want you to just notice about that. So yeah, any other questions about that one? I think I'm going to move on here. So that was pretty cool. Now, I know Carlos here did 2 versions. There's what he actually did, and then there's what should have been done, right? Now, I see the short here. We're calling that confirmation on the break of the elephant bar. Interestingly, Carlos well, I'm not going to go into, so what happened was a short here on the break, and then an add here, I assume on the GBI, and then a stop right here, right? Saying it took out my GBI, and perhaps the risk was too much to leave this as a stop. Where does it say? Now, this is what I don't understand, is if max loss per trade is your stop, well, maybe it'll show up on the next page. But I would think your max loss per trade would have to be up here. It needs to be an event stop. Or it needs to be this, which I'm pretty sure doesn't fit your account size with 2 lots. But you shorted 2, and then you added to make this 3, and then brought the stop right here. That doesn't make sense. And this is not a max loss per trade, right? Putting a stop 2/3 of the way up. Okay, if your max loss per trade is $90, you can get in maybe 1 lot if you enter here, but you can't get in 2. You can't just make a line in here and call that your stop. You can't do that. It's just asking to be stopped out all the time. You're saying, I don't want this to pull back 50%, which even like if this pulled back all the way to here, would that negate a short on this trade? If it actually took out the high and hit the 20 MA, would that make it completely impossible? No, I still think that this is shortable. Now I might want to see a double dip or something like that, but and why is that? Why is it that just taking out even the high of this bar doesn't negate shorting afterwards? I wonder if you guys can see what I'm suggesting. There's position, but what else? What else can I do to show that that's not too much? Look, I can go like this. I can draw in this red bar, right? And pretty much go, this can come up to here, which would be an event stop. And it could trigger here, and it would still trigger below 50%. See what I'm saying? Like that's what I find kind of dramatic about it. So an event stop would still be okay. You have to take it, but you have to give it enough room to pay you off on this one. And so let's look and see what Carlos wrote up about this one. So ideally, let's see. Ideally, an anticipatory entry, max loss per trade, right? So anticipation, I like this. Event stop, I like that. That makes more sense to me. And then, let's see, I think Carlos is saying profit take down here. I think somewhere around 50 cents is a legitimate profit take, right? So I would say when this bar closed solid red like this, anything below that you can take profits, right? And that's something Oliver's been pointing out. When you get something that closes at the low or closes at the high, your profit taking rule is anything beyond that, but not inside that, right? So if it's about to close, you just leave it alone, right? And see if you can get just a few cents more. He says over time, that'll mean a lot. Now, so there's the profit take, loss of color, right? So you can short one right there, right? Boom. And Carlos is calling this a break-even stop. I don't think you can do that. I think your stop is still up here. Once it gets about one push beyond and you get to about here, now you have a pivot stop. And that's totally fine. So now the pivot stop moves here. 0.4, we've got loss of color again. I would propose not adding a second time in the same range because you just added right here, right? So don't add again in the same zone. Wait for it to pay you first. You understand what I'm saying there? And then I like the new low profit take down here. I like the solid bar stop adjust. And down here, we adjust to color, right? Down here, we adjust to color. And then, activating bar by bar right here. I think that's fine. You can do that. I would still, I think you can do that right here. You've moved way into the new lows, and then you stop it out down there, and I think that makes sense. I do think there's another pullback that will eventually make a new low, but it's gonna take this one out. So you can play and you can hold on and see what happens, right? So what do you guys think about that? I think that's a good analysis right there. Good job with that. Going through it and working out what would make more sense than what you did. I like how you're doing 2 journals, right? So that's really good work. So, do you mind if I share this, Carlos? You sent that to us. Do you mind if I take a look at this? I can move on if you want, but okay. So, last month, I told you guys to just pick a location, for example, or pick a setup and do just that. And it looks like Carlos has chosen just to do triple minus and triple plus, right? Notice these are all in that category, right? Just took some event from that location and gave it a shot, right? And I think this is a good analysis, right? What did you, you're saying late entry. I see that a number of times. I see, I should have got out. I see no entry event. Stop too tight. Added slightly late. So I see a lot of trouble with the entries when you're entering. If I were to categorize a lot of these, right? So I would say for the next 20 trades, sharpen up exactly when you're supposed to enter. See if you can make those better and see if it affects your results, right? Looks like you had a really nice one here, I think you're doing a good analysis, right? You're picking one thing and sticking to it. Nice. Hey, that's it. It's just constantly making it a little better and a little better, trying to hit the event exactly the same way. So I'm glad you're doing this work. It's very important. This is what will get you there. And this is why, if you're doing this work, this is the kind of stuff that Oliver wants to see on the black team. He wants to see people that are doing this stuff. Because a lot of people will just say they're doing it, or they'll attend, but they're not really making an analysis. So, imagine you get this really sharp and you get this to become consistently profitable, and then now you focus on single plus and single minus and get 100 of those and sharpen that, and then double plus and double minus, and you see how that really builds up over time. So great job with that. So I'm going to go over, let me take a quick look how many more we got here. Oh boy, we got a lot. I am going to hand over to Tony and put in a separator here in a few minutes, but I'm going to go through a couple of these. All right. Victoria, long 2 lots, event stop adjust, and we stopped out. Boom. Yeah, that's what happens. I'm going to ask you this though. What do you think about that initial event, Victoria? Like this bar versus like these end of day bars over here. Does that one blow you away? I mean, you can see that it's sort of in this location. This held, tried to pull back, boom. You know, I think you took a good stop. I'm just saying, a lot of people jumped in right here too. Yeah, I don't know. The trap zone was like 20 cents. It doesn't. I mean, for WFC that might be a bit wide, but I think it's just the event itself, right? For me to be excited about the first bar of the day these days, it needs to look exactly like this, right? I don't like the. There's nothing with a tail on it that follows through these days. That's what I'm looking at every morning. But if I see anything that looks like this, and half the bar is a tail, I'm kind of like, nah. That to me is just 100% undecided. Especially, I look at this bar, and I go, is that even bigger? Is this bar even? And then I look at it even more, and I go, look at the color in this bar. Just the color portion. Is that even bigger than like this? And so I don't even identify it as elephant in size myself. So yeah, the trap zone is not too wide. I think Jan's right there. It's fine. It's just if this bar opened right here and went like this, my answer would be hell yeah. Anything above there, I'm in, right? That would be beautiful, right? And it would be twice the size of all this mess down here, these bars and whatnot, right? So, yeah, right. These ones are, and measure the size of the color, right? Look at the size of the color of this bar versus the size of the color. That's why I'm saying I don't like these tails. Just look at the size of the color. This one tried to be an elephant bar. It tried, and it didn't manage. Just this bar makes me want to get out of the whole thing and go find something else. Time's too precious, right? That first 10 minutes, great things are coming about, and I try to just look for the best ones, right? So, but I get it, it depends on what stocks you're looking at, and if this is what they've got for you, then that'll happen. It's not wrong, yeah. And then here's another one, right? I like the bottoming tail, long two lots, beautiful, fabulous four. Like, is this ideal or what right here? That is the picture of perfect, right? New high profit take, totally appropriate. Move along, big bar stop adjust. Move along, solid green stop adjust, and a stop out. Great, love it. Looks like an ad was missed, right? So, well, so the interesting thing, you say you couldn't identify the pullback and therefore you didn't add, but that's because your first entry was the pullback, right? It already was the pullback. So you are okay to take profits on your new high there. And then you get up here and you go, is this the RBI you want to take profits on? add on? Like how many people would add on that RBI? Yes or no? No. Okay, and why? Yeah, you don't want the one that's like 16 bars up, right? Now, this is interesting. I know there's a stop out here, and you can totally do that if you think this is run far enough for you. Why is this okay to play? I know this is scary, but why is that okay to play? Yeah, it's at the 20. It's above 50%. So from a high to low, right? Here's 50%. Takes out this red. It's right at the 20. And just make this rule. Fear nothing that happens above the 20 in the upper 50% of the daily move. I'm going to say make a folder of these. Scary bar in the top 50%, triggers above the 20, triggers above 50%, have no fear. Yeah, telling you, you're still going to get a new high. You don't even have to take the trade, but if you can just identify these and fill a folder with 20 of them, draw the high, draw the low, draw the 50%, draw the 20 MA. If it triggers in this spot, you're going to get a new high, even if this scary baloney happens, right? And it will make you sit through these things. It will even make you not stop this out. And the reason that this one I sit through and I don't just go bar by bar and stop out, why do you think I would sit through a pullback on this one? This is an interesting one. This one I would sit through a pullback. Why would I sit through? What about this move up? Yeah, but there's something else about it other than the most beautiful, like, fabulous four in the world. It's kind of just like a grindy move up. Like, are any of these bars exhausting? Like, are there any exhausting bars in this thing? When I see things powering up and there are no exhaustion bars, like, and that's another thing, just say, strong moves with no exhaustion bars. Sit through one pullback, see what happens. Like, there's a scary bar, but you know what's really bullish is when that scary bar gets taken out, right? Here's a scary red bar too. When that red bar gets taken out, it's really bullish, right? All the people in here, this scared the heck out of them. Boo, right? This one too. Boo. When a scary red bar in the top half gets taken out, I'm telling you, it's very bullish. It's the same, it's a 180, right? It's a powerful 180 happening in the top half of everything, right? So, and I think, let's see, where was that other one? Even this one didn't really have an exhaustion bar, right? None of that was exhausting. Cut all the tails off them. Just look at the red. Like, if you can look at this without all the stupid tail things, right? Just cut them all off. This looks a little different, doesn't it? This was the biggest bar. Then it just got smaller, and then smaller, and then boom, down, right? Now, I don't like it when we lose the new low, but that's why I still go, let's not just close everything right here, right? The trend ends when it ends when this happens. But This is a sign that we're getting to the end too. The biggest bar, you've been trending, and now the biggest bar, the whole thing shows up, right? That's when you start going, this is probably done. Right? Notice this one's not even done, right? Still, the biggest bar of the day is the first bar, right? Oh my God, it's pulling back. Well, look, none of these bars put the nail in the coffin, do they? So yeah, it'll peter up and then it'll drool back down again, right? It's when you start seeing and you don't know which ones are going to come that way, do you? Like, you just don't know. So so thanks for sharing that one. Usually it's a market law 4 that kind of ends the thing, right? So I'm going to do one more here, and then I'll put in a separator and hand it over to Tony. All right. This is Hamsaraj again, right? So bear elephant bar, confirmation entry, short 2 lots, event stop. Did a big 2-lot add on the pullback. Took 3 off at the new low. I think that's a great idea. Now, at this point, after today, Siraj should know that we've got to indicate the stop adjust, right? And then we had a nice ADMA trend and an ADMA break right here, and a great exit, right? So I think this is a nice analysis. I don't know, because he's not here, if that is a trade that was actually taken or just but I do think this is beautifully done, right? Like, there it is. There's the new low. Great identification. Take most of it off, especially since this trade got a bit big. I'm a little concerned about this big bar stop idea. So it's like add and immediately go to big bar stop. That was convenient. And I think that was used to justify a large size add here, right? But still, I think this is a good place to add. Beautiful low risk entry. The other thing that could have been done is you just keep the stop up here. Take this add, but if you're going to do 2 lots, have it like a separate trade. Here's the stop for these 2 lots, right? Leave this one up here until this gets down here, and at the profit take, now the stop comes down. It's another way to do it. But it's just, I just see us getting a little creative here with stop adjustments on things that should not. It's big, but it's not that big. This red bar, right? It's big, but it's not that big. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's see, we're right here. I think we're going to put in a separator and give Tony some time, because we've been cutting it short on him recently. You guys okay with that? And Monday, we're going to have a ton of these to go through, but now that we've run through all the material and how to journal and all that kind of stuff, the amount of the teaching portion is going to be shorter in the beginning, and there's going to be more time for journals. Does that make sense? And I'm also going to want to talk to some of you guys and see how you've been doing. You're welcome. With the challenge I made last month of picking something and just sticking to that one thing, right? All right, good job. So Tony, are you ready to go? I know Tony said he might be in a little later, so if he's not there, then okay, there you go. All right. So I'm going to hand it off here so we can learn about ribbies and gibbies, I believe.
Good job.
All right, all yours, my friend.
Sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Let me get my monitor up and running. Here we go. So the market, as you all probably know, is down today, right? Lots of bear action. The Dow gap's down, gives you a bear 180 and keeps going down. Sideways and keeps going down. Gives you a little dip here. Then it just rolls over. Gives you a Gibby, a green bar ignorer. Are you guys experts on ribbies and gibbies yet? And then it gives you a bear elephant bar straight down. Sideways. It's trending downwards a little bit. Yeah, look at that heat map. It's all red, huh? NASDAQ down. Gaps down. Gives you two green bars and then just keeps going down. Rolls over, goes down. Kind of like a pullback and down. All right, tries to come up, gives you a bear 180 down. So the key word today is down. S&P 500 gaps down. Trends downwards, 45-degree angle, right? The map tells you the story in one glance here. It's all red. Mostly red. So we have some banks trying to do a little something. Wells Fargo. Healthcare is up a little bit. Bristol Myers. Pfizer. Merck. But the big winner today is the energy section. Chevron, Exxon, ConocoPhillips. See, energy's up. And you can see that on this. This is called a drill down screen. This drills down by sector. The indexes tells you which sector is doing good. And today, the only one doing good is energy, right? And it breaks it down by the indexes. So you can drill it down to which ones, right? So a lot of the energy companies are doing good today. So let me go over ribbies and gibbies with you guys again. Because they are very, very good things to learn, to be an expert at. They're profitable. You can make a living off of them. So what is a ribby? You hear people talk about ribbies all the time. Well, ribby's a red bar ignorer, right? And we go over these little presentations over and over because I want you guys to become experts at ribbies and gibbies. I want you guys to know them like the back of your hands. So when you see one, you know exactly what to do. No guessing, no wishing, no hoping. You know what to do. And repetition is what creates mastery of your skills. So I repeat things a lot. I practice a lot. I do things over and over. And once you do, you realize that this is not all that complicated. It's not rocket science. It's the same thing over and over. It's a ribby over and over and over. It's a gibby over and over and over. Same thing over. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. Right? So ribby, the red bar ignore, here's a picture of it. Right? Bar 1 is a bullish bar. Right? Indicates the direction of the trade. And bar 2 is a red bar. And this red bar will stay in the top 1/3 of this bullish green bar, right? So it stays right up here. It's like a pause, a little rest, then it takes off again. Boom, another bull bar, right? And this tactic works amazing in all time frames. You're going to see it in the 2 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, 20 minute, hourly, daily, monthly, weekly. It works in all time frames. It's amazing how that works in all time frames. But it works accurately on stocks in all prices, all price ranges as well. Okay? So it could be a $5 stock, a $10 stock. It could be a $100 stock, a $300 stock. It works the same. So the important points to remember: it works in all time frames and it works in all price ranges, right? Ribbies and gibbies. Here's an example of a red bar ignore. So you have this little breakout, right? You have a bullish bear elephant bar, then a pause, a little break, a little red bar, and the top 1/3 of this bull elephant bar stays up there, and then it continues on with follow through, then another bull elephant bar. All right, they're not all going to look perfect. You're going to see as we continue on. Here's another one. Here we have a bearish period, found the bottom, turns around. You have a bull elephant bar. Then you have a pause, a little break. You have a little red bar ignore. Sometimes they may even stay green, but most of the time they're red bar ignore, right? Stays in the top 1/3 of this bullish elephant bar. And then, boom, another bull elephant bar. Red bar ignores can make you very profitable. So here we have a bearish period coming down, hit the bottom, it's coming up. You have a bull elephant bar, bull elephant bar, and another green bar. And then we have a ribby, right? If you combine these bars, it stays in the top 1/3. Combine these bars, you have a bull bars going up, green bars coming up. Here you have another one. Stays in the top 1/3 of this bull elephant bar. And then follow through, right? Single red bar ignores the very best bar. So this is in your manuals. These are pictures right out of your manuals, right? You have a bullish period here, a bull elephant bar. A little pause, little break, right? Stays in the top 1/3. You have a red bar and a little green bar break. Both of them are small, narrow bar, and then poof, follow through with a big, bad bull elephant bar up. Very nice. They're not all picture perfect, but pretty close. Now, another important thing to know, to memorize, is many times what happens on the left side of this ribby, right, will happen on the right side of this ribby. So if you have this much distance on this side, you usually will have the same distance on the other side. So what happens on one side will happen on the other side. All right, so even if you miss the first part of it, you can catch the second part and still be profitable, right? Your goal is to be consistently profitable. These ribbies will help you do that, do this, be consistently profitable. Okay, we have a 5-minute chart here. We have a bull elephant bar. We have another bull elephant bar, and then it kind of goes a little sideways, right? Remember, they're not picture perfect, like I'm showing you. You could have a couple neutral bars and then poof, follow through up. All right. Here's the 15-minute chart. This one looks more picture perfect. You have this bull elephant bar going up. You have a nice little pause here, and then another bull elephant bar. So what happens on this side happens on that side, right? On this bull elephant bar, the pause stays in the top 1/3 of this bar. Does not go all the way back. It stays up here and then continues upwards. That little rest in there, you can nail this and just get this little leg of it and be profitable. So double bars are good, right? If you have 2 bars, it's still considered a ribby. If you combine this and combine these, it stays in the top 1/3 and continues on. So they're not always going to be picture perfect ones. You can have 2 bars or 3 small bars, and then continues up, right? So this is a red bar ignore. This is more of a pullback because it comes all the way back to the 20. Goes up, a pullback, tiny ribby here, little ribby there, continues on. And ribbies are great entry points, right? Because you can get in here, put your stop right below the ribby and let it rip, right? Even if you got in here, put your stop below and go up. This one's already exhausted area, but it still worked for one big green bar. You'd have to know that it's exhausted and get out quickly here. But the better one was this one, right? And nice room here to move. This is $2 right in here. See that? 70, 172. At least $2. That's a nice one. Multiple ribbies are good, right? So you can have a run, a trend with multiple ribbies in it, right? Here, this price is going up, gives you a ribby. You get in here, put your stop, and let it go up. Another ribby. You can add here. As it's going up, then you move your stop. When you have multiple ones, you add. Here's another one. Oh, keep adding. Move your stop. All right. Another one. You can add and move your stop after it follows through. So as it follows through, that's when you add right above. Right in here, you add. Let it follow through. As it's following through, then you move your stop. Right? Don't move your stop first or before the follow through. You have to see the follow through and then move your stop. So here's a play I did on AMD, right? I missed all this. I saw the ribby here and I whoa, let me jump in. I jumped in, and started riding the A train. Woo, A train. Started getting top and tails and I was getting nervous. Oh, it's time to get out. It's telling me my station to get off is real close. Pulls back to the 8. I held it and boom, started peeling out and then got out up here. So this was a nice little run. It was only one leg of the ribby, right? Remember what happens on one side happens on the other side, right? And this side actually went a little longer than this one, just a little bit, and I milked it right to the end as far as I could go with it. So that one was a nice run. So you could be consistently profitable just catching the one leg of the ribby. All right, a green bar ignore. What's a green bar ignore? Here's a picture perfect little green bar ignore. All right. First bar is a bearish bar. Bearish elephant bar coming down. It's showing you the direction of the trade is down. The second bar needs to be green. It pauses and waits before it continues on. But the second bar needs to be in the bottom 1/3 of this bearish bar, right? So this one stays on the bottom and then has follow through. So these things are not really complicated. It's the same thing over and over and over, all right? So green bar ignores Gibbies work just like ribbies in all time frames, right? 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hourly, daily rate. It works in all price ranges. Again, the same thing, all price ranges, $5, $10, $100, $200, $300. So it's amazing how accurately these things work. It's another tool for your toolbox, ribbies and gibbies. You gotta know these really well and practice them a lot because repetitions will create masteries of your skills. You're trying to build your skills level up, right? We're giving you the knowledge. You practice is building your experience and make sure you're doing the right practice. Because I know traders have gotten stuck doing the wrong practice for long periods of time, years, right? But here you're getting the knowledge, you're getting the right idea of how to practice correctly, right? And knowledge and experience builds your skills. Your skills start going up the stairway, right? It takes time to build your skills, just like in any profession. You have to build your skills to get good enough at it. So slowly you take little steps going up the stairways as you're building your knowledge and knowledge. Your goal is to become a master trader on top, like Oliver, like Dan. They're master traders. Your goal is to reach that level. So you do what it takes, practice the right things, and build your knowledge. Will get you up the stairway higher and higher towards the master trader. Here's an example of a green bar ignore, right? It came down, gives you a little ribby, pause, break, and then boom, follow through. Big, bad, bearish elephant bar down. Takes a break, stays in the bottom 1/3 of this bar, and drops again. What happened on this side happens on that side, right? So if you miss this one, and you see this one, you can still jump in here and grab this, all right? So this would still be nice profit. They're gibbies are great entry points, just like ribbies, right? So you put your stop up here, you enter there, and you let it rip down. Put your stop up here. Well, in this case, I probably would have put it a little higher above the 200, and then let it rip down. You know, I would have added more here, moved my stop from here to there once you have the follow through, and then out. Be nicely profitable then. Again, different time frames, right? We're used to 2 minutes. There's a ribby, classic ribby here. Happens on one side, happens on the other side, stays in the bottom 1/3, continues down, another green bar ignore, another gibby, goes down, another gibby. All right, 5 minutes, comes down. In this case, kind of stayed red, didn't turn green here. drops all the way down. But this doesn't happen too often. Usually you're looking for this. Yeah, you use the 2-minute entry, and then it goes down on the 5. So you have a bear elephant bar, you have a pause, a little break, and you get a green bar ignore. That stays in the bottom 1/3 of this bearish elephant bar, and then follows through. What happens on one side happens on the other side, right? You put your stop there, you enter here, and let it come down. Here's another Gibby. Right? You have a bearish period, gives you a green bar ignore, then it goes down. Another green bar ignore, goes down. Another green bar ignore, goes down. So you enter here, you put your stop, and then it come down. You see another Gibby, you add here as it's going down. Then you move your stop, let it go down. Another Gibby, you can add here. As it's following through, you move your stop. Then you're out or start layering out. Okay, things to remember. The best red bars stay within the top 1/3, right? On this ribby, they stay within the top 1/3 of this bull elephant bar. On the Gibby, the best bars stay in the bottom 1/3 of this bearish elephant bar on the Gibby, right? So it's the opposite of ribby, the Gibby. Ribbies and Gibbies are great entry points, right? On this ribby, you put your stop here, you enter there, and let it go. Right? On this Gibby, you put your stop here, you enter here, and let it come down. Are great entry points. So usually what happens on the left side happens on the right side. What happens on one side will happen on the other side. It's important things to remember about ribbies and Gibbies. And you'll see it happen often. Okay. There's a bear being protected by its mask. So let me show you a few little examples that happened today. Okay, this one starts to pull back. It starts to rise, right? It's riding the A train up. You see the railroad tracks here, the 20 moving average, the 8 moving average. Those are the railroad tracks. It's riding the A train up, pulls back, do a little breakout, rides the A train. Actually, the origins is bull 180, this tiny little bull 180, right? Goes sideways, breaks out, pulls back. Then it starts getting your ribby. See this ribby, and you go, oh, let me try it. You get in here, put your stop, let it go. Oh, another ribby. Oh, let me add to it. As it keeps going up, you move your stop, right? Then this one's really not a ribby. It's just a big pause, a big break here. And it continues on. This is a pullback. And then you have this tiny little ribby up here, all right? This is the exhausted area. This is the origin, the igniting area, right? So up here, you know, if you're going to play this ribby, you don't have much room. And once it gives you this topping tail, this is like a beacon. This is like a lighthouse at night, flashing its light, saying, you're out. You're out of this play. This is rolling over right here. So it rolls over, right? Kind of hang glides down. It doesn't crash, doesn't collapse hard on you. But if you play this, you had a small, but these are dollars. You're talking about almost just $1, less than $1, less than $1. You could have gotten here, but you could have been consistent, profitable. What's this? We have a power surge here, right? Out to 200. All right, here's your Fab 4, power surge up. Remember the power surge that I taught the last time. Goes sideways, right in the 8 train, gives you a ribby right in here. All right. So you add here and let it go. Lower your stop. There's another ribby, right? Multiple ribbies on this 8 train right up. You can add more here. As it follows through, then you move your stop. Let it go up, top and tail, pretty much done. It pulls back all the way to the 20 and then goes back up to prior's high. Top 3 topping tails telling you it's coming down. Gives you a Gibby right in here, right? Drops down. So that's how you read these, how you see these. Right, this one gives you a Gibby here on the 200 moving average. The 8 train's down. Look at the railroad tracks here, right? 8 train down. 8 train going downtown, ladies and gentlemen. Gibby 1, Gibby 2, right? There's a little pullback here. Another Gibby 3. Kind of a neutral bar, keeps going down. Little Gibbies here. Time to get off the track. There's a big bull elephant bar here. If you're not all out by that, this will take your last lots out. You're done with this one. That would have been a nice ride down. So this one's kind of like a power surge off the 200 moving average. Prior day's close. Goes up. Little Gibby. Another Gibby. Another Gibby. Ribby, I'm sorry. Ribby, 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 Ribby up. Riding the A train. Nice railroad tracks. Full of ribbies all the way up. So you could have been adding on the way up. Goes sideways, breaks out. You're out. Big topping tails, exhausted area. It's time to get out. You rode that train all the way to the last station. Let's see. Okay, this one comes from prior day's close. Strong green bars up. This is like a bull 180. Little pullback. There's a kind of a ribby here. That's not a good example. LifeLock. You guys know Norton LifeLock? I don't know if you have experience with that or not. Oops. Let's see. I just switched to Norton for my antivirus on my computers. I have like 5 or 6 computers because I got a really good deal on it. So let's see how it goes. I wasn't too crazy about the LifeLock. Hopefully it's gotten better than when it first started, but we'll see. This thing caps out today. Got some good news somewhere. Gives you a nice ribby here though. Another ribby. Pull back. Another ribby. Somebody keeps calling me. Okay. Look at this one. Here's your Fab 4. This thing's crazy. Gives you this power surge from way below the Fab 4. Keeps going up. Gives you a ribby. Pull back, big pull back. Little ribby here. Little ribby there. So ribby here, ribby there will make you profitable. If you notice, these are all energy stocks, right? Power surge, ribby, ribby. Riding the A train, pulls back, ribby, ribby, ribby. Pull back, all the way to exhausted. 3 topping tails, 3 wicks up here, telling you it's done. Right? Look at this W. Gives you a nice W here. Hits the high of the day 3 times, right across the top up here. Pretty amazing, huh? Some of you might have had this for your wealth plan. It's Oxy. Made you some money on that one. Scott's Miracle Grow, right? Gaps down, gives you a green bar ignore. Sideways drops, Gibby. Kind of like a Gibby. Little tiny Gibbies. All the way down. Riding the A train down, you get off here. Gives you little ribbies on the way up here as well. So they're all over. Look at this Gibby right here. And Coinbase, right? Goes sideways, drops. Gives you a Gibby. You can add here, enter here, put your stop, let it drop. How much is that? 93. It's like $3 drop right there. That's incredible. Oh, look at this ribby here, right? You can put your stop, let it go up. That's got to be a couple of bucks. 1, 2, 3, yeah, a couple of dollars there. There's a Gibby, ribby right here. A Gibby coming down. So they're all over. Here's one I played today. And down, up, down, up, down. Finally got out over here. 3,000 shares. Here's a Valero, right? Another energy stock. Bottom tail up from the red bar ignore. Nice little Fab 4. Gives you a ribby, pulls back, ribby, pull back, pull back. Look at the 8 trains riding the tracks up. Alright, I probably would have got out here and there layering out. Kept going. Here's a green bar ignore. Look at that Gibby. Right? What happens on one side happens on the other side. Combine these bars, it stays in the bottom 1/3. Moves on down the line. It's bottoming till. Comes all the way back to the 200. Interesting. Look at this Gibby here. Gibbies. Right? You can enter, move your stop, let it go down. To stop, let it go down. So they're all over. You guys got to become experts at these. And just when you see them, you know what to do. Right? No guessing, no wishing, no hoping. See a power surge? Ribby. What do? Oh, I put a stop right here and let it go. Another ribby. Oh, let me add to it. As it moves up, then you move your stop. Pulls back to the 8 train, continues up. And you got another ribby up here. And another one. Starting to get to the exhausted area. It's time to start taken out, right? So this could have been the whale right in there. See that? Don't like that one. Look at this one, right? On bull 180, starts the train, up the train. Well, it actually started here with the bull elephant bar, pulls back to bull 180, and then it goes up ribby, keeps going up ribby, keeps going up. Nice tracks all the way up. Ribby. Enter, move your stop, pulls back ribby. Enter. As it follows through, then you move your stop. Another ribby, you can add, follow through, move your stop. Pulls back, you can add on this, follows through, move your stop. All the way up to the top. You have a plan. You know, you're going by this list. If it pulls back too hard, hits your stop, you're out. If it continues to the exhausted area, then you start layering out and get out. And you're able to get the most out of this trade by doing so. That's the key. Power surge up, ribby, pull back, ribby, pull back, goes up, does a big pullback to the 20, and then high again with topping tails, wicks up here. That's your signal. This is done. I would just do this, and it's a done deal. All right, folks. I think that's been enough for you for one day. I kept you for a long time. And the markets are still down today. I'm trying to rebound here a little bit. Just a little tiny bounce going on right now. Hope you guys can become experts on ribbies and gibbies. And remember all the stuff I told you. What happens on one side happens on the other side. The bottom 1/3, the top 1/3, the bars. I hope you become experts on ribbies and gibbies who make you profitable, make you happy.
Hey, good job. Hey, good job. Hey, good job.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Great stuff, as always. So, anyway, we see each other again on Monday, 11 a.m. We'll have another coaching session number 5. And so, as Tyler already pointed out, now that we have all the presentations basically out, we will have more time to review trades. So we'll spend a lot of time on reviewing trades from Monday. So send in those journals. We still have some journals pending that we will try to cover next time then, of course. Let's see if what happens, okay? So, see you all on Monday.